In the heart of California's Central Valley, a nightmare unfolded, one that would span over 2 decades and leave an indelible mark on the state. Between 1974 and 1986, Joseph James DeAngelo Jr., known as the Golden State Killer, embarked on a chilling journey of terror, committing 13 murders, numerous rapes, and burglaries across California. His crimes began in Northern California, where he committed at least 120 burglaries and 1 murder before moving to Sacramento County, where he escalated his brutality, targeting at least 51 victims and claiming 2 more lives from 1976 to 1979. In Southern California, DeAngelo's trail of violence continued with at least 10 additional murders between 1979 and 1986. His modus operandi was precise, taunting his victims through obscene phone calls and possibly written threats, leaving no stone unturned in his pursuit of chaos. The case, a labyrinthine puzzle for law enforcement, saw several suspects cleared through DNA evidence, alibis, or investigative methods. In 2016, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and local law enforcement agencies renewed their efforts, offering a $50,000 reward for his capture. On April 24, 2018, DeAngelo was finally apprehended at age 72, charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder based on DNA evidence. His family connections, identified through forensic genetic genealogy, provided the key to solving the decades-old mystery. DeAngelo's early life in Bath, New York, was marked by violence, his parents regularly beating him. In West Germany, where his family was stationed, he claimed to have witnessed a horrific rape of one of his sisters, allegedly committed by 2 U.S. Air Force airmen in a base warehouse. His teenage years were no less tumultuous. Reports suggest he engaged in burglaries and mail theft, even torturing animals. The Golden State Killer's reign of terror was not just a series of brutal acts. It was a silent scream for attention, a macabre dance that left victims and investigators bewildered. His capture marked the end of an era, but also raised questions about his motivations and the psychological landscape from which such atrocities emerge. In the heart of California's Central Valley, a nightmare unfolded, one that would span over 2 decades and leave an indelible mark on the lives of countless victims. The 1970s were a tumultuous era in America, marked by social upheaval and cultural change. In Sacramento, the capital city, the air was thick with the scent of revolution as counterculture and civil rights movements gained momentum. Yet, beneath this surface of progress and protest lay a sinister reality. The San Joaquin Valley, where DeAngelo's crimes first began, was a landscape of small towns and vast agricultural fields. It was a place where the rhythms of rural life continued unabated, with close-knit communities and tight-knit families. The 1970s were characterized by economic uncertainty, as many families struggled to make ends meet amidst an era of inflation and recession. DeAngelo's targets were often women living in these small towns, housewives, single mothers, or young girls out late at night. Their lives, though seemingly ordinary, had been shattered by his actions. In East Sacramento, the crime scene left no doubt about the terror that gripped victims. The Golden State Killer's reign of violence was a stark reminder of the dark underbelly that lurked in even the most idyllic communities. The era was also one of significant social change, as women began to assert their rights and challenge traditional gender roles. However, this progress did not shield them from the brutal realities of the Golden State Killer's crimes. The victims were often isolated, with little recourse for justice or support. Their stories remain a testament to the resilience of those who survived and the enduring impact of his crimes on society as a whole. As the 1970s gave way to the 1980s, DeAngelo's modus operandi evolved, spreading from Northern California to to Southern California. Each victim was another chapter in an ongoing nightmare that stretched across the state, leaving behind a trail of fear and uncertainty. The Golden State Killer's crimes were not just about violence. They were about terrorizing entire communities and shattering lives one by one. The social context of this time, marked by both progress and peril, provides a backdrop against which these crimes unfolded. It was an era defined by the clash of ideals and the darker forces that lurked in the shadows, waiting to strike. In the heart of California's Central Valley, a nightmare unfolded, one that would span over 2 decades and leave an indelible mark on the history of true crime. The Golden State Killer, also known as Joseph James DeAngelo Jr., embarked on a sinister journey across Northern California in 1974. On February 5, 1974, the first known murder attributed to the Golden State Killer occurred in Visalia, California. The victim was a young woman who was brutally attacked and left for dead. Her body was discovered the following morning by a jogger. This crime marked the beginning of a reign of terror that would span over 12 years. The next day, February 6, 1974, a series of break-ins began in the San Joaquin Valley area. These burglaries escalated into more violent attacks as DeAngelo moved his operations to East Sacramento in 1976. The local authorities were puzzled by the methodical nature and the seemingly random selection of victims. The case was named East Area Rapist due to the geographic location where most incidents occurred. By 1979, DeAngelo's modus operandi had evolved significantly. In East Sacramento, he began raping his victims as well as committing burglaries. He also made appearances in Stockton, Modesto, and Contra Costa County, leaving a trail of terror behind him. The crimes were so severe that the term "original Night Stalker" was coined to describe DeAngelo's activities. As the years passed, the Golden State Killer continued his brutal campaign, moving southward into Southern California. Between 1979 and 1986, he committed at least 10 murders in Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Orange counties. During this time, he was also linked to a number of other crimes, including kidnappings and abductions. The decade-long investigation into the Golden State Killer remained fruitless until 2001, when DNA evidence linked him to the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker. This breakthrough led to the creation of EARONS, East Area Rapist / Original Night Stalker, a combined acronym for the cases. In 2016, the FBI and local law enforcement agencies renewed their efforts with a $50,000 reward. The case gained national attention when Michelle McNamara used her platform to bring awareness to the unsolved crimes of the Golden State Killer. On April 24, 2018, DeAngelo was charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder based on DNA evidence linking him to victims across California. His family members were also identified through forensic genetic genealogy. The case had reached a boiling point, and justice seemed within reach. In June 2020, DeAngelo pleaded guilty to multiple counts of murder and kidnapping as part of a plea bargain that spared him the death penalty. He admitted to numerous crimes, including those with which he was not formally charged, such as rapes and other violent acts. His sentence, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The Golden State Killer's reign of terror finally came to an end after over 2 decades of silence. The case serves as a chilling reminder of the dark side that can lurk within seemingly ordinary lives. In the heart of California's Central Valley, a nightmare unfolded, one that would span over 2 decades and leave an indelible mark on countless lives. The Golden State Killer committed his first known crime in 1974, beginning with a series of burglaries in the San Joaquin Valley. Authorities responded to these crimes, but lacked the technology and evidence to connect them. By 1976, DeAngelo's crimes escalated, with reports of rapes and murders in East Sacramento. Law enforcement officials were aware of multiple unsolved cases, but struggled to establish a link between them. The absence of DNA testing and forensic advancements meant that evidence collected at the time often went unconnected, leaving many victims without justice. In 1986, DeAngelo seemed to go dormant, leading investigators to believe he had stopped his criminal activities. However, the case continued to haunt law enforcement agencies, with periodic attempts to solve it. In 2001, significant progress was made when DNA testing linked the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker cases, establishing that they were one person. This breakthrough led to the creation of California's DNA database, enhancing investigative capabilities for solving cold cases. In 2016, a renewed effort was announced by the FBI and local law enforcement agencies. A $50,000 reward was offered for the capture of the Golden State Killer. The investigation took an unexpected turn in April 2018 when DNA evidence linked DeAngelo to the crimes. Through forensic genetic genealogy, investigators identified members of his family who provided critical information leading to his arrest. Despite the breakthroughs, several suspects were cleared over the years through DNA testing and other investigative methods. The case also faced criticism for institutional failures, including missed opportunities to connect evidence earlier. Political pressure occasionally influenced the investigation, but did not hinder the eventual identification and conviction of DeAngelo. On June 29, 2020, at the age of 72, Joseph James DeAngelo Jr. pleaded guilty to multiple counts of murder and kidnapping as part of a plea bargain that spared him the death penalty. In exchange for admitting to numerous crimes not formally charged, he was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The Golden State Killer's identity remained a mystery for decades until it was finally revealed in 2018. Several theories have circulated during this time, each attempting to explain the motivations behind his crimes and the identity of the perpetrator. One prominent theory centers around Joseph James DeAngelo Jr., who was eventually convicted in 2020. However, the case against him was not immediate. Early investigations involved multiple suspects, including a former Sacramento police officer named Robert Ressler, who was cleared through DNA evidence in 2001. The EARONS theory, which combined evidence from the East Area Rapist and original Night Stalker cases, further complicated the investigation. DeAngelo's background, marked by his military service and early life experiences, provided a potential psychological profile for the killer. His parents' physical abuse during childhood and his exposure to sexual violence at a young age might have contributed to his later behavior. The brutal nature of some of his crimes, such as the murders in Santa Barbara and Orange counties from 1979 to 1986, hints at a deep-seated psychological disturbance. Despite the evidence linking DeAngelo to the Golden State Killer, he was never convicted for the initial rapes and burglaries committed in the 1970s due to the statute of limitations. Instead, he was charged with multiple counts of murder and kidnapping based on DNA evidence, which connected him to relatives through forensic genetic genealogy. Other suspects were cleared when their DNA did not match that found at crime scenes, or they could provide an alibi for specific crimes. For instance, a former police officer named Robert Ressler had been identified as a possible suspect, but was ruled out after his DNA tested negative against evidence from the East Area Rapist cases. The contradictions in some of these theories remain unresolved. While DeAngelo's family background and military service provide a potential psychological profile, other aspects of his life and behavior during the relevant period are unknown or unverified. The Golden State Killer's taunting and threatening communications through obscene phone calls and possibly written messages add another layer of mystery to the case. The resolution in 2018 came with the use of advanced forensic techniques, specifically DNA evidence from relatives, which ultimately revealed DeAngelo's identity. However, questions about why he committed such crimes and whether there were others involved remain a part of this enduring cold case. As of 2023, the case against Joseph James DeAngelo Jr., known as the Golden State Killer, remains closed. DeAngelo was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on August 21, 2020, after pleading guilty to multiple counts of murder and kidnapping. His admission also covered numerous uncharged crimes, including rapes and burglaries, though he could not be charged for the premonous 2017 rape cases due to California's statute of limitations. Recent developments have been few since his conviction. DNA testing and forensic genetic genealogy played crucial roles in connecting DeAngelo to the case, leading to his arrest and subsequent confession. The case has contributed significantly to advancements in criminal investigations, particularly in using familial DNA searches. However, many details about DeAngelo's early life and motives remain unknown, clouding some of the mysteries surrounding his crimes. The Golden State Killer's legacy continues to impact forensic science and cold case investigations, highlighting both the power and limitations of modern investigative techniques. The case stands as a somber reminder of the enduring quest for justice in unsolved crimes. The Golden State Killer's case reshaped criminal investigations in California, leading to the expansion of DNA databases and forensic genetic genealogy techniques. His crimes, though largely dormant for years, continue to serve as a stark reminder of the enduring impact of serial predators on society. Yet many questions remain unanswered. What truly drove DeAngelo to commit such acts over 2 decades? The mystery lingers, haunting investigators even today. If this case gripped you, there are dozens more waiting in the criminal archive. Every week, we uncover new stories that history tried to forget. Subscribe now and never miss a case. The truth is out there, and we will find it together.